For the first 30 seconds of this video, imagine discovering that Mortal Kombat was never just a fighting game, but a carefully designed psychological trap filled with hidden messages. Forbidden violence, secret characters, urban legends, developer pranks, and dark inspirations pulled straight from horror movies, ancient mythology, and real-world fears. And by the end of this journey you will never hear the words, "Finish him the same way again," because everything you thought was just arcade fun hides a much deeper and disturbing story that shaped gaming forever. Mortal Kombat did not arrive quietly. It slammed into arcades like a thunderclap in the early 1990s, dripping with blood, controversy, and an energy that felt dangerous even before you touched the joystick. Because unlike other fighting games of its time, Mortal Kombat wanted to scare you, shock you, and make you feel like you were doing something slightly forbidden, something your parents definitely would not approve of, and that feeling was not accidental. It was baked into every pixel, every scream, and every brutal finishing move. The dark secret begins with how Mortal Kombat was created, because the developers were not trying to make a cute or heroic experience. They were inspired by martial arts films, horror cinema, and the idea that violence in games could feel real instead of cartoonish, which is why they used digitized actors instead of drawings. A choice that made every punch feel heavier and every fatality feel uncomfortably close to reality, especially at a time when players were not used to seeing human faces ripped apart by supernatural forces on a screen in a public arcade. Then came the Fatalities, which were more than shocking rewards. They were psychological weapons, designed to spread through word of mouth like forbidden knowledge. Because arcades were full of whispers about secret moves that could rip spines out or burn enemies alive, and many of those rumors were intentionally fueled by the developers themselves, who loved watching myths grow out of control, knowing that fear and curiosity are far stronger than any advertising campaign. One of the most unsettling secrets of classic Mortal Kombat is how much of its content was built around the idea of punishment rather than victory. Because winning was not enough, you had to dominate, humiliate, and destroy your opponent, completely turning combat into a ritual where mercy did not exist, and this idea subtly trained players to associate success with absolute annihilation, a concept far darker than most games dared to explore at the time. Hidden characters like Reptile added another layer of mystery and dread because they were not meant to be easily found. They were designed to feel like glitches, ghosts, or cursed elements, hiding inside the machine, appearing only under strange conditions, which made players believe that the arcade cabinet itself was haunted or alive, capable of secrets that even the operators did not fully understand. The sound design of Mortal Kombat is another dark secret that often goes unnoticed, because beneath the iconic music lies a constant atmosphere of tension created by deep echoes, bone-crunching effects, and screams that sound disturbingly human, making the game feel less like a competition and more like a descent into an underground death tournament where every match feels final and irreversible. Even the announcer's voice plays a sinister role, because its cold, commanding tone does not cheer or celebrate. It judges, it condemns, and it demands violence, reinforcing the idea that you are not a hero fighting for justice, but a participant in a ruthless spectacle where survival is the only currency that matters. The lore of Mortal Kombat hides darker inspirations as well, pulling from mythologies filled with gods who toy with human lives, realms built on endless suffering, and characters whose backstories involve betrayal, possession, and eternal punishment. Meaning that behind the flashy moves lies a universe where hope is rare and power is always tied to cruelty. Another disturbing truth is how Mortal Kombat influenced real-world panic, because its graphic content directly contributed to government hearings and the creation of video game rating systems, making it one of the few games in history that was considered dangerous enough to change laws, a reminder that the fear it created was not limited to the screen, but spilled into society itself. What makes this even more intriguing is that the developers leaned into the chaos, hiding jokes, secret messages, and absurd elements inside the darkness, creating a strange balance where horror and humor coexist, making players laugh one moment and recoil the next, which is part of why the game became so addictive, because your brain never quite knows how to react. Classic Mortal Kombat also hides a meta-secret, which is that the game constantly breaks the illusion of fairness, using cheap AI tricks, sudden difficulty spikes, and unexpected attacks to make players feel helpless, reinforcing the theme that this world is not just brutal, but unfair, and that victory must be earned through persistence, frustration, and sometimes sheer obsession. Even the famous blood code itself is a symbol of rebellion, because it represents the moment players actively chose to unlock violence rather than avoid it, typing a secret command that felt like crossing a line, transforming the game from something restricted into something fully unleashed. And that moment of choice is one of the darkest psychological tricks Mortal Kombat ever pulled. As time passed, many of these secrets became legends, but their impact never faded, because Mortal Kombat taught an entire generation that games could be shocking, mysterious, and unsettling, that they could push boundaries and make players uncomfortable while still being incredibly fun. And that combination is why the franchise remains powerful decades later. By the end of this video, it becomes clear that classic Mortal Kombat was not just about fighting, it was about fear, curiosity, and the thrill of uncovering something hidden, something dangerous, something that felt like it was not meant to be seen. And that is why its legacy still looms over gaming history like a shadow that refuses to disappear. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark secrets hidden in classic Mortal Kombat, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment with your favorite Mortal Kombat memory or rumor, and share this video with fellow retro gaming fans so the legend continues to spread.